What is up, guys? Welcome back to Overspray. Well, it's finally getting back into working on the Honda Civic project car, and I have the car kind of pushed out for the moment right now. Well, let's go ahead and take a look and talk about what we're gonna start doing. Obviously, we got to do a couple things before we get to that point, but I just want to kind of talk about where I'm headed with the Honda Civic project car. All right, so I've been working on the bodywork. I'm sure some of you guys have seen the side of the car has been. I've been really trying to get most of the bodywork done, but I'm thinking the best way to get these doors straight is probably going to be taking them off the car. So what I'm thinking is actually taking the driver's side door off along with the passenger side door off, and really block sand the doors. And I brought my welder from my parents' house. I had it kind of stored over there, little trusty Eastwood MIG welder. But I'm thinking we're probably not going to need to do any welding. Now, where is that? Oh, there it is. The reason why I say we're going to do some welding, or we're not going to do some welding, is because if you guys see this rack, I'm planning on putting the doors on this rack, but I don't think it's strong enough to carry the weight of the doors. So we're going to have to reinforce it a little bit. And I went ahead and picked up some flat stock from Lowe's. And I was thinking of welding it, but I ran into a few issues. A couple issues that I ran into was the gas that I have. It looks like I had the valve left open and it leaked out all the gas. So now I got to go get more gas in order to weld. So what I'm thinking is maybe I'll skip on the welding for now and possibly try to modify the rack in order to sustain the weight for the doors on the Honda Civic. And meanwhile, the doors are off on the Honda Civic. I figure I can start prepping the door jambs. I'll take all the plastic out of the door jambs and kind of strip the doors off and take the door panels off and all that, and then kind of prep the door jambs as well. And then that way we could paint the door jambs, and then we can also paint the doors separately once they are once all the bodywork is finished on the Honda Civic. So you can see that the bodywork's looking real nice. I had to spot putty a couple spots here and there because with the body filler, and I do have some spots down to bare metal, as you can see right here. So we need some self-etching primer in order to get some of those metal spots out. Got a couple more dings and dents over here, a couple bare spots of metal, and then finally back here fix a dent that was right here, and also some bare metal spots. So yeah, I got a lot of work here, but so that's kind of my idea with this car, is take the doors off and get them nicely prepped, get them ready for paint, and then maybe on another video we'll be able to paint the doors. So yeah, that's the plan. So this is what I meant when I told you that the rack needed to be reinforced. As you guys can see, this thing is super flimsy, and yeah, I don't think it's going to be able to hold the weight of the doors off of the Civic. So like I said, I did get some very thin thin metal, and I'm thinking of putting kind of like a cross brace on each side, right? And I was going to weld it at first, but the only problem with that is I want to be able to take it apart and kind of store it, because I'm very limited to the amount of garage space that I have. And yeah, so I kind of have to be considerate of that. As you guys can see, I have quite a mess in here. Got a bunch of stuff, a lot of tools that I've accumulated, and not only that, I also paint in here. So yeah, it gets pretty busy in here. So like I said, what I was gonna do is just put this cross bracket from here to here, also on the other side from there to there, and then probably get some self-tapping screws and tap into these kind of like these flat pieces right here, if you guys can see that. Nice and flat. Come on, camera, focus. It like has no idea what to focus on. Anyway, well, you guys can kind of see that the ends are nice and flat, and then like I said, I'm just gonna put that crossbar just like this, kind of just to reinforce it, and then put some self tappers in there, cut this to shape, and that should give it enough strength. If not, I'll probably add another one maybe down here, and just to add a little bit more, and then that should be able to hold the weight of the doors. And what I'm also thinking of how to hang the doors is probably putting some hangers here, probably a couple hangers throughout, and then maybe even putting something on the post of the rack in order to be able to sustain the weight of the door as well. Now the only problem, the only thing I worry about and that I'm concerned about is if the weight of the door, because the door is going to be right here, I'm just wondering if the door is going to tip over the rack. That is something that hasn't really been tested, but I think the bottom legs down here can actually be extended a little bit, and that should give it a little bit more stability. I'm not sure. We're just going to play it by ear, and well, we'll find out shortly. If you guys can tell, well, I'm pretty sure you guys saw, but I went ahead and drilled some holes in the flat stock, just with the little Milwaukee drill, with a nice little 1/8 drill bit, and went ahead and put some holes in it. I didn't really do any measurements, but I kind of knew it was in this area, so as long as it's close, and or at least close enough, we'll be able to mount it onto the rack. So as long as it gets somewhere in this area, and I could drill some self tappers in there, that should be good enough. And then these are pretty much off of my press. These are like the press blocks, so I just use this as kind of give me a little bit of a gap, so that when the drill bit goes through, gives it enough space to you know, drill all the way through, whatever the case may be. Anyway, we went ahead and drilled this. So yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and put these on and see how much stronger the rack will actually be. Alright, so as you guys probably saw, went ahead and drilled some holes right here at the end caps of the rack. Did that one, and then I did this one, but then I found out that the top part actually extends out, so that's kind of cool. So I might be able to use that to my advantage. Regardless, so I went ahead and just drilled on all 4 end caps a little hole here, and then that way when I put the reinforcement bar, I kind of have something to line it up to. Like I said, no exact measurement whatsoever. It was kind of just eyeballing it from here, and kind of like really good guesswork, I guess you could say. So just reinforced the rack. I went ahead and hung onto the rack and see if it would actually support my weight, and it did very little flex out of the rack. So I think that those little support bars are going to be perfect. Like I said, I wanted it to be removable so that I can put away the rack after I'm done painting or whatever it is I'm going to be doing with it. And I think it came out pretty good. And what do you guys think? Pretty nice, huh? All right, so let's go ahead and concentrate on the car now. So I ended up having to pull the front fender, get all the bolts in there, because I needed to gain access to these bolts to be able to pull the door out. And so I wanted to be able to have some access, not only to the little harness that's in here, but also, like I said, these bolts. And I was having trouble trying to get this edge nice and flat when I had the fender on, because I was scared that because of the little small gap that was here, I was afraid that I was going to sand onto the fender. So I ended up just pulling it completely off in order to access the bolts that I needed to, but also be able to do the body work that was needed in order to continue with doing the rest of the door, doing all the body work on the door. It's pretty straight as it is right now, but it's not perfect, and I do see a couple dents here and there that I need to take care of. And my original idea was to paint the car from the door all the way to the quarter panel and everything else, but it looks like the best thing for me to do is pull off the doors, sand them down, get them ready, get them nice and flat, and then probably paint the doors separate, then paint the door jambs, and then paint the rest of the car possibly in a spray booth, or I might just paint the roof, or I might just completely paint in the garage. I still don't know. It's still not a for sure thing. But yeah, so anyway, off camera, like I said, I did pull the door panel off, so you can see there's nothing in there, and I went ahead and lowered the window as needed. And I'm thinking of, when I go to put the door on the rack, probably hanging it from this side, or I might even just utilize the ends here. I'm still not sure how I'm going to hang the doors just yet, but I kind of have an idea, but still not a for sure thing, because yeah, I just haven't had time to really plan out how I'm going to end up doing this. But anyways, I'm about to pull the door off right now, and so yeah, so I gotta remove some stuff before I pull the door, and then we should be able to remove the whole door as is. So yeah, stay tuned. Alright, running into a little issue here. Looks like this door has been taken apart once before, and this bolt right here seems to be stripped, and I'm not able to take it off. It just keeps spinning, and yeah, no go. So I'm gonna have to try to figure out a way, because I need this bolt to come out in order to remove the door, or else yeah, I'm not able to remove the door. So I'm gonna try to finagle it out of there and try every method possible to try to get that thing out. And once I do, then I'll be able to pull the door. So I'll check you guys back in a bit. Alrighty, so I ended up being able to not get the bolt out. So this is how I'm gonna do it. I freaking cut it. Yeah, that's the only way I'm gonna be able to do it, because this nut is actually welded from the inside, and there's no access to be able to get to the back side of it, unfortunately, unless I drill a hole or something somewhere else and get to it. So yeah, that kind of sucked, but that's what I had to do. I figure I can probably fix it later on, maybe even weld it, or probably just buy a new one. I think that's probably going to be the best bet, and deal with the repercussions later. I might be able to get like maybe a chain breaker or something like that later on, and be able to remove this little kind of like this hinge bolt dealio, if you guys can see right there. So without sacrificing taking out that bolt, because that bolt is, like I said, welded inside, and there's probably no way to get it without cutting part of the body and getting into that nut. I think probably the weld or something inside probably broke, and so yeah, so I'm kind of screwed on that one. So yeah, so I ended up having to cut it. I ended up just getting the grinder that's over there on the floor that I was using earlier. Got the grinder and just cut it off. And so yeah, so now I'll be able to pull the door off. So let me get set up here, and we'll put the door on the stand. Wow, that door was a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be. But I was able to get the door off. So now the door is on the stand, and I'm going to try to figure out how I can hang this door on this bracket for now, because I still need to pull in the Civic for the night, because there's no parking, and obviously I can't leave it outside with the door off like this. So yeah, so I gotta figure out how the hell I'm gonna put everything back together. Well, I guess I could. where there's a will, there's a way. So I'll probably just end up putting some of the bolts all the way back where they were, and go from there. Somebody has been here before for sure. There's a bunch of stripped bolts, missing hardware, a bunch of stuff. So someone definitely painted this car once before, and I already knew that going into this, that it was going to be a big project. But nevertheless, I was able to get the door off by myself, and now my back hurts. But so yeah, so not as a productive day as I wanted it to be, but I got a lot done, I feel. And at least the major stuff, I still got to source a new door hinge, I guess you could say. I don't know what that thing is called. I guess like a door stop or something. Like I said, I ended up having to cut it. You can see right here, this part is all cut. So I'm gonna have to find another one, maybe a used one on eBay or something, or maybe in the junkyard, because the bolt is, like I said, it is stripped in there. I could just feel the nut inside just spinning, and their only way to take that out is, yeah, taking apart some of the body. So I'm not willing to do that. This is just a project car, so I'll figure out a way. I think what I'm going to end up doing is just drilling out part of the hinge, this part right here. I don't know if you guys could see this part, but it's got basically where it pivots, there's kind of like this pin, and gets squished in order to it's kind of like a chain, you know, like you put the rivet through, and then you kind of squeeze the rivet, and then it'll stay there forever. That's kind of that deal. So I think I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get that out, maybe with like a chain breaker or some sort of I don't know, some sort of tool to get that out. If anything, I'll probably end up drilling it, and yeah, end up trying to get that part fixed. I wish I could have done that first, but there was no way with the door still attached to it. There's no way I can able to take that off. So I just, like I said, got the cutting wheel and just cut it off. And yeah, that was my solution. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna cut you guys off here, and we'll continue it either tomorrow or in the next video. All right, so today is the next day, and I went ahead and pulled the car outside of the garage, and then we have the door basically ready to be stripped down and prepped. Now I can tell, like I said, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but it seemed like somebody painted this car once before. You can kind of see some overspray right here. It looks like somebody had painted this car previously, not sure, but it looks like there are some signs about somebody painting this car. So that be that, and that could probably be the reason why a bunch of bolts are stripped on this thing. Probably because some body shop didn't really care about putting this thing together. They just want it to get in and out of the shop. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and probably strip down the moldings and take off the mirror. Also take the molding that's in the front part of the window. Right here. So this is part of the molding. There's a couple clips holding it inside the window, and then prep the other side as well. Alrighty, so I went ahead and stripped all the moldings, the window moldings, the door molding, the little molding that goes here, and then it has basically a seal that goes all the way around. Now there's a couple things I noticed under the seal, under the molding, I mean, and we got a little bit of rust going on here. A little bit of rust here, a couple other spots here and there. Overall, it's not terribly bad, but I am going to have to fix this before I paint it, because I obviously don't want to paint over that. And so yeah, so we got to do that. And then we also got to clean all this up. You can see some spider webs, and it's not looking very good. I think what I'm going to end up doing is just taping off this area, just right here where that molding goes, and possibly painting that, or basically painting this down, and not necessarily this, but it all depends really. I think maybe I might end up doing that, I might not, just because there's a lot of prep work that is involved with painting this top part of the door. I'm just thinking maybe just paint this section and not that. Don't know yet, don't know what I'm going to end up doing, but for right now I just wanted to strip the door as much as possible. And I think I missed a part here, missed this molding down here, but we're going to take this off once we're able to flip the door around. We'll take the rest of that molding off. There is a couple bolts here and there holding it. I just loosened them up for a minute, for now I mean, and yeah, and then we'll continue on stripping some of the rest of the door. Shouldn't be too much, but yeah, I wanted to get the main part of the body work done, which is basically on the other side. So I'm not going to be too focused on this side because I'm kind of running out of time, and it is kind of late in the afternoon today. So I'm going to flip this thing around and start on the other side, but I just wanted to get most of the stuff, the little stuff I can get done right now, and then we'll worry about washing that when we're ready to paint and all that. So yeah. Anyway, guys, let me flip this thing around, and then we'll start doing body work on the other side of this door. As you guys probably saw, I was sanding the door. Now, basically the reason why I'm going over some of the bodywork that I was doing is because I could still see some scratches. Not sure if you guys can catch that on camera. So hopefully it does. Let's see if I could darken it a little bit. Kind of see a little bit of these pigtails those are sanding scratches, and I thought they were from 150, but apparently they're probably 80 grit scratches, and you can kind of see them. So I was trying to sand it down with 320, but that was not working. So I ended up having to step it down a notch and go with a more coarser sandpaper. And this door needs a lot more prep work than I originally imagined. So I'm going to start taking my time and really go through all the chips, because if you guys notice, there's a bunch of little chips on this thing. And yeah, there's going to... Alright, sorry about that, guys. My battery on my camera died, and a bunch of... you guys probably missed a bunch of work. That's okay. I will fill you in. So I went ahead and grabbed the little electric drill with a kind of like this eraser. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it. It removes like decals and glue and all kinds of stuff. So I went ahead and continued on the door. Now there was a bunch of old 3M molding all right here, and pretty much going from one side of the door to the other. So I went ahead and well, erased most of the remainder of the 3M adhesive, and you can see it did a pretty good job. The only problem is it leaves a lot of rubber all over the place, but for the most part, I mean, it got most of it out. There's still a little bit here and there that I need to get to, so I'm just gonna go ahead and continue on and yeah, and get all that stuff off. Alrighty, boys, so cutting you guys back in. So I went ahead and grabbed the glazing putty that's over there, and I went ahead and glaze puttied everything, all the major chips that I can see. I think I'm gonna let all the small ones be filled with primer. I think they can be easily covered with primer, so I'm not gonna worry too much in detail. Got a bunch of little scoring on the Bondo, so I went ahead and glazed that, and then we're just getting ready to let the glazing putty dry, because I do want to finish sanding the rest of this. So we're going to end up leveling all the glazed spots, if you will. And then I got a couple more down here that I fixed, and then a couple more that I realized I missed. So we got a couple little chips here and there, and then there's a really small chip right here by the door handle, so we're gonna have to take the door handle off. But I'm pretty much running out of battery life, so I'm probably gonna have to do this off camera, guys, so I apologize for that. Alrighty, boys, so this is as far as I got tonight. Went ahead and shot some self-etching primer on a bunch of the metal spots here. I broke through the metal in almost every edge. So in the edge in the center, and the edge here, the edge on the other side of the door. Yeah, a bunch of edges, and then also an edge right here, and right here in the molding clip area. But finally, I'm pretty proud of my my body work so far. Everything is looking real nice. I actually sprayed some primer here and kind of used the primer as like a guide coat, and kind of just started sanding, and everything looks real smooth. So that is a very nice thing, I guess you could say. I don't know. I'm not too good with words sometimes. But yeah, it's coming out real good, and I think I'm at a stopping point for tonight. Have been working on this thing for like 3 hours already, and yeah, and I can't use air tools right now because it's like real late at night. I think it's like almost 12 at night, and don't want to make any more noise. So this is as far as I got, guys, and I still have a couple areas I gotta fix still, but for the most part it's pretty much done. Still gotta do the other side, of course, and prep that stuff ready for paint, to get it ready for paint. And then also the door handle needs to come out, because I need to fix this little edge right here. There was a good sized chip right there, right on the edge. Looked like maybe somebody was trying to pick at the door or something, and it chipped this edge. So I really need to take the door handle off and scuff that, and also sand the filler here. Sorry, I'm like super tired. I'm losing my words here. But yeah, this is as far as I got. Didn't record too much because, like I said, my batteries were kept dying, and so yeah, so I did this off camera. But this is as far as I've got. Alrighty, boys. Well, that's gonna be enough for me. I know I got some messed up hair, but the door is starting to look real good. Anyway, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Stay spraying, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.